Challenge calls and rulings. When requested or necessary to resolve disputes, you summon the head referee or the tournament director. The other issue is that if a player requests the tournament director, you, without a doubt, do not try to mitigate that. You simply say, yes, we'll get the tournament director, referee timeout, and you call for the tournament director and get them there as quick as you can to deal with the issue. Now, if they're questioning, if they've asked for your decision on a rule and they don't like your answer to one of the rules that was in question and in dispute, and they ask for the tournament director or the head referee, and they come out and of course they find that the referee was correct, then it's a penalty to them now, right? Before it wasn't. They could ask as many questions as they wanted and they could dispute anything, take their time and have a dialogue on it. There was no consequence. Now, if the referee was correct and had told them that and they dispute it, that's an official dispute and they would lose a timeout and they're awarded a technical warning. So again, you would write right across on the scorecard, you would use one of their timeouts and put in technical warning. And on the back, you want to just lift up the scorecard. Where's my?
Quick question, Alan.
Hang on, just here's your scorecard here. So what you do is you just lift the front page and you just write right across the back. Can we all see that there? So you would put technical warning here, disputed line call or whatever the decision was, disputed rule, and what the score was while that transpired. And you would put TW down by their name up at the top. Sorry, somebody had a question?
Yes. A technical warning is issued to a team, not a player? No,
it can be either. It's
Okay.
usually to a player, but it goes against the team, so that we're talking about it's a team violation as well, right?
Thank you.
So Alan, I have a question. It's John here. There are two kinds of calls. There is one that is a judgment call, and then there are the others which has to do with a rule. Do they have the capability of questioning a judgment call?
Yeah, they have a question. They can question almost any call. So want to give me an example of your judgment call, like a ball that is judged to be out?
Yes,
line call?
that is it, or foot in the on a volley.
Well, I'll give you probably a better one. I was the head referee at a tournament, and the referee on the court had issued a illegal serve notification to the individual, and he asked for the head referee to come out and resolve that dispute.
Yep.
Well, the serve has already happened, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So in the judgment of that referee, that serve at that time was illegal. And he was told why, whether it was sidearm, above the waist, no arc, whatever it was. And so I said, I'm not going to be able to overrule that. That one was illegal in the eyes of the referee, and it will stand.
In your
he said, well,
judgment.
can you watch my serve now and see if it's illegal? I said, I certainly can. And I watched him. I can understand, why he was called illegal. And I looked at that one, and it was not. But that doesn't mean the one that hadn't happened before was. So they can dispute that, but that's not something they're going to get a technical warning for or lose a timeout. That's usually when we're talking about that one, it is a disputed rule and it's the interpretation of what the referee has given, which is in dispute. And therefore, if the referee gets it wrong, for example, and quotes a rule, and the head referee or the tournament director comes out and they pull up the rule book and they look at it and they look at all the words in there and they say, no, well, this is the actual meaning of that and this is how it's to happen. Therefore, the team would be correct on the court and the referee would simply allow a let in a replay to be made.
Okay, so you don't reverse a judgment call, but you allow any discussion of
On
rulings.
Yeah.
Because we got to keep the rulings correct.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Al, at this point, it's a good segue. There was a question, any hints, tips, ideas, and help on how to actually judge what's an illegal serve?
Right. So again, the legal serve is the same thing. You know, you got to watch, you know where the navel is, or you think you know where the navel is. And I go back to a story at one of the times I called somebody on a serve above the navel, and she looked at me and says, "You don't know where my navel is." And I said, "Yeah, I think I do." And she lifted her shirt up and showed me her navel. And it was not where I quite thought it was. It was a little higher. But I still, my call still stood, but I was amazed how far her navel was up. So you just, again, it's at the point of contact, and you have to be very, very careful. The one above the wrist, that's more easily, you can see that, but I can think of some players down south there that they are continually pushing it. Every serve in every game is just on that borderline, and unless you can see it above that wrist break, do not call it. You have to be 100% sure. And the one thing that I can say in the referee's defense is once you've called it, it's, well, unless it's being videotaped, nobody else knows, right? So you make the best call you can. The interesting thing is somebody who's pushing that serve, and I've seen this happen many, many times where they keep pushing it, trying to get an advantage, putting the top spin on it. And when I've called them on it, what do? They go back to a normal serve, underhand serve, perfectly good serve. So you just have to try to keep it as fair as you can.
How about a receiving team challenging someone's serve?
Yeah, and that's a good one where what the serving team should be doing, or the receiving team should be doing, is quietly coming past you as the referee and saying, "Ref, would you watch the serve, please? Would you watch the serve?" Very quietly, because you don't want, they shouldn't be saying that outwardly, so that person now knows everybody is watching my serve. And what am I going to do? The next 3 or 4 are going to be positively good. So they should be quietly saying under their breath. But I say, like I normally do, I watch every serve. I'm not going to watch this serve any more closely than the last serve or the one before that, because I'm watching every serve with the same degree. All right, so hopefully that answered your question. It's a train thing, something you just have to train your eye. If you're not 100% sure on it, do not call it. What a lot of times people will be told is ask for the head referee to come in. All right, quietly get somebody to get the head referee to come and watch the serve while the play continues without them even knowing, right? And you can quietly do that somehow. That's another way of dealing with it. Or ask for a certified referee if you're not, to be monitoring. I've been asked that many, many times, just to keep my eye on somebody and give them an opinion when it's quiet to do so, and say, yeah, you know, like 2 out of the last 3 were illegal, and then they know, they start learning where that barrier is. All right, so moving on. If referee's ruling is correct, the disputed team loses 1 regular timeout and is assessed a technical warning. If the team doesn't have any timeouts remaining, they get assessed a technical foul. What happens when somebody gets assessed a technical foul?
You get reminded there's 1 more left.
Say again?
You get reminded there's 1 more left.
No.
And they get awarded. The other team gets awarded a point or
That's
side out.
quite correct. That's the answer I was looking for. The other team is awarded a point. So your responsibility there is to make sure that that other team knows that they have been awarded a point. So, and with that, you can't tell them, because this is definitely coaching, you can't tell them they need to switch positions on the court, right? You can only tell them that the score was 4-3-2. The score now is 4-4-2. A technical warning was awarded to you. That's it. If they don't switch, then the serving team who made the violation serves. As soon as the receiver returns the ball, incorrect receiver, point. So their gain has just been nullified. And we'll talk a little bit later. There's going to be a slide that shows you on here how to annotate technical warnings and technical fouls a little bit more closely.
So Al, if a player wants to challenge your ruling, do you let them know what the consequences are, or is that coaching?
No, you can tell them. You know, it depends on the situation. Depends who we got out there and what's going on. But yeah, I would have no problem saying that. Yes, you can challenge me, but understand that's a challenge. And if I'm correct, you're going to lose a technical warning and you're going to be losing a timeout and awarded a technical warning.
Right, good, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you don't want to, I know there's a fine line in here now. How much do I tell them and what don't I tell them? And now you as a referee are on pins and needles. But you want to have that nice open dialogue with them, be that facilitator, allow them to know if you possibly can. You just don't want to do it when it's going to be a detriment to the other team. All right?
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it goes back to a time when we had quite the conversation about when we're doing the warm up and both teams are doing serves, and you notice somebody's got an illegal serve or one that is very close to illegal. We had the discussion. Do you warn them at that point and saying, "I'm going to be watching your serve. It's close to being illegal." Yeah, you don't do that anymore. That's a definite no, because if they take that illegal serve into the game and they serve it, it's a loss of serve. And now if we've taken that away, the other team has lost that advantage that they would have otherwise had. So that's why you don't want to do that.
Just a question on the point. If
Sorry?
you're giving a point on a foul, on technical foul, do you lose the serve as well?
Yeah, good question. No. There is no penalty. There's not a double jeopardy thing. So the play continues. When you get a technical foul, it's usually for something that has happened. It's got nothing to do with, again, where the ball was or not, whether it was dead or was a good shot. It's something that's happened on the court. And that's what the foul is for. The point goes to the other team.
Must a technical warning precede a technical foul?
No, it must not. You can go straight to a technical foul depending on the situation. Good question, though. All right, broken ball. Pretty simple situation. Happens periodically out there. Play continues to completion of rally, just like somebody getting injured, right? The referee does not stop play if somebody gets injured or there's a broken ball. A fault if the player stops play due to a broken ball. All right. So if we're in the middle of a rally and the ball breaks and the player just lets it go, that's a point for the other team. Before the service motion starts, player can ask the referee to determine if the cracked ball affected the outcome, and a replay is possible at the referee's discretion. So the point in time is really what they're getting at here. So the play has just taken place. So right up until the point of the next service motion beginning, somebody can say, "Ref, was that a broken ball in that last play? And did it not affect the play? I thought it did." So they can say that. Normally speaking, it's not going to be that long. They're going to say right away, "Ref, that was a broken ball." There's been quite a few times where I've seen a ball break. I've heard it break on a serve or whatever it is. It hits and it doesn't bounce. And I will call to the players, "Give me the ball, please." And I don't want them sticking their finger in there and interfering with the crack. And if a player does that, that is grounds for a technical warning. Okay, interfering with the ball. You want the ball come back at you, you look at it, and yes, there's a large crack in there that is right through from one hole to the other, and your thought was that that ball did not bounce out of that serve as it normally would have. And I would call a let and a replay on that shot. Okay, you don't have to be asked by the player, you can make that determination. Normally speaking, you're probably going to be asked by the receiving team. If it's on the serve, it breaks. You're going to be asked by them, and then you make that determination based on the condition of the ball and on the play that you saw. Did that person have a play on the ball is another aspect of it, right? So if the ball broke and there was no receiver that had a play on that ball, therefore the cracked ball did not affect the outcome of that rally. The play is good and stands. That clear?
That must be a difficult thing to determine, though, if you're watching foot faults, watching feet, and to also see a ball skip. Does that put pressure on the referee to make a call?
No, I've never had any problem with that one. And of course, I pride myself in finding the broken ball before the players do. So again, that's something you have to work out, but good question, you know, because again, I am wanting you to be focusing on that non-volley zone, but it depends. Normally speaking, if they're serving, for example, you've heard me already suggest that's when it most likely will happen, is on the serve. You're going to be watching that full extent of that ball and the flight of that ball, right? Right up to the receiver. So that's an easy one because you haven't got anybody close to the non-volley zone. It's when that ball is getting whacked that it's going to probably break. Line calls.
And usually the ball bounces really strange, so you can tell something's wrong with the ball.
Yeah, or you know, sometimes it's just spin on the ball. And certainly we've seen that where there is so much spin on it that when it hits, it doesn't bounce. And you call and you look for the ball, you look at the ball, and there's nothing wrong with the ball. So you know, and that emulates a broken ball quite often. And so you have to, I think I use the ears quite a bit too, to know exactly when that hits, especially the Durafast ball, when it hits, it breaks, you can hear it. Upon appeal, on line calls, overrule if 100% positive where the ball hit. I've already been there again, 95, 99% sure, doesn't cut it. You have to be absolutely positive that ball was out before or in before you overrule a call. And never, ever say, I think that ball was in as the referee. You should never say that as a player, right? As soon as you say, I think, it permits doubt. And if there's any doubt on whether a ball was in or out, the ball is in, if not clearly seen out, therefore it's good. So what you want to do, in fact, is say that ball was in, that ball was out. The moment a player or team appeals to the referee or asks the opponent's opinion, they lose the right to make any subsequent in or out calls regarding that rally. Right? So we all understand that one. I think so. We've had a ball that has gone back and forth, and the teams one person calls it out, and they look at it, and the other one says, or he can't make a call on it. I should say they can't make a call on it. So they ask the opponents, did you see it? And that person is looking right down the line and they said, yes, that ball is good. You now can't say, well, I thought it was out. Right? As soon as you acquiesce to the referee and ask the referee an opinion, or you ask in social play, you ask the other side, you've given up your right to any further call on that ball. So, but any player can ask the referee now whether that ball was in or out. And that's after, if, for example, we're on a team and my partner calls the ball good and I call it out, we can go to the referee and ask for a decision. All right? Just because we, normally speaking, in social play, if we disagree, what's the call?
In.
Absolutely. If there's any disagreement by a team, that ball is in because it has not been seen out. There's some dispute on it. It's to be called in.
And as a referee, if you did not see it or you were blind to that, what is your response?
So then you say, I can't rule on that ball. I did not see it. And so the call on the court stands. And if the call in the court was one in and one out, that ball is in. Right? If the ball is called out and you line judge and you didn't see it, then the call on the court stands.
Al, would you ever ask the other team if they saw the ball, or would you only make your own call?
No, I very often, especially in social play, I ask the other team quite often because again, with parallax, I don't want my partner who's on the far side of the court making a call down my line if I'm down the sideline. And if I'm busy making a play on that and I could not honestly determine whether that was in and out, I'll look at my opponent straight across from me and say, what was it? And, you know, depending on, that's a tough one in a tournament because you're not going to get too many calls. There are people that are honest and they're going to give you their honest call. But, you know, so that's all you can go on. And hopefully, I mean, this is a point that I want to get across to all players is that that ball is to be called in unless it is clearly 100% seen out. So again, we're going to get into, Wade brought up earlier when we were just doing introductions here about a diagram that shows you balls that are in and balls that are out. We'll get into that and just have a bit of a dialogue on when a ball is in and when it's out. If the line judges and the referee cannot make a line call, the rally shall be replayed unless all players agree the ball was out. So on this scenario, we've got line judges. So the ball was hit and it's right very close to the line and there's no call on it and it goes back over the net. And there's no call from the line judge and no call from the referee, obviously, because the referee is not going to weigh in unless asked. But if play stops and you're asked and the line judge was unsighted or didn't see it, he should be giving them the unsighted signal right away. And that unsighted signal to the referee indicates that the referee now is free to be able to make that call. And if the referee saw that ball out, he immediately goes out like a line judge and calls the ball out, regardless of the play continuing as it had. Normally, it says here that unless all players agree the ball was out. If the playing team that hit the ball over thought it was in, they're not going to agree to a replay when they to do a replay making the ball called out. They want the point. They made the shot. They figured their shot was good. There was no out call given. Then it's going to remain as an in ball, and the point goes to them, or it's a second server or side out. All right. So they sort of put that one in there, but it doesn't have a lot of weight, and you're not going to see that too often where the four players are all going to agree that, yeah, well, let's call that one out and we'll do it again. The important thing there again, though, is with the line judge and with the referee, if the line judge is unsighted, they immediately need to cover both eyes with the palms of their hand towards them, and then that gives the referee the right, the only time the referee can make a line call without being appealed to. And that's the only time the ref can do that. So that's why, again, you know, the fellow that just asked the question about the broken ball, I'm trying to teach you, we're not following the ball. We're not following line calls. We're watching feet in the non-volley zone line, and you might not have seen that one. And you simply have to say, I did not see that ball land. And so the call on the court would stand. So in this case, there was no call because they thought it was good and it was played back over, then the ball is in. All right, clear?